I told myself I wouldn't look back, but the night I ran from Crestwood, I heard his voice break like glass behind me. Funny, really. After years of calling me trouble, Ezra Hale was finally afraid to lose me, and I was the idiot who still loved him for it. The truth is, America is wide as hell, but somehow every mile felt like it belonged to him. My name is Luca Reyes, and for most of my life, I was the boy people whispered about when they thought I wasn't listening. The foster kid, the orphan with no roots, the outsider taken in by the Hale family because Ezra's mother couldn't stand the sight of a lonely child. I grew up in their mansion like a guest they might forget to feed. Ezra grew up like the sun itself, heir to the Hale business empire, adored, untouchable, everything I wasn't. And yet, for some twisted, cosmic joke of a reason, we collided. Hard. Even now, months after disappearing to give him what he'd wanted: space, distance, a life free of me, I still see the way his jaw clenched whenever our eyes met, as if I were something smeared on the family portrait. A stain. But before I vanished, there was a night when something shifted between us. Something raw. Something terrifying. Something that made him look at me as if he were drowning. And that was the moment I knew I had to go. This story begins the night everything broke. The Hale mansion sat on a hill overlooking the Californian coast, like a wealthy god perched where no one could touch it. Inside, the annual Hale Charity Gala roared with diamond laughter and champagne fog. I was there to refill glasses and smile politely at people who had no idea I lived upstairs in a tiny room the size of their walk-in closets. Ezra was across the ballroom, back straight, confidence radiating off him like stage lights. He was 24, already being introduced as the future CEO of Hale Enterprises. He looked good in a suit, but he looked dangerous in the eyes, like a man who carried expectations sharp enough to cut skin. As I passed by with a tray of fresh champagne, I heard a couple whisper. "That one?" the woman said, tilting her glass toward me. "The foster boy. He's grown into something pretty, hasn't he?" "Pretty," her companion laughed. "But a liability. You know how the Hales are about their image." I pretended not to hear. Ezra didn't pretend. His eyes snapped toward them, then toward me, jaw flexing. He stepped closer, intercepting me like an accidental shield. His voice was cool, too cool. "Don't talk about him that way." My heart stuttered. Ezra never defended me. Ever. The couple backed away quickly, embarrassed. And suddenly we were alone, surrounded by gold light and murmured music. "You don't have to do that," I said quietly. He glared at me. "You shouldn't care what they say. And you shouldn't care enough to interfere." I shot back before thinking. His jaw tightened. Someone has to. The way he said it, sharp, protective, almost angry, made something in my chest ache. I stepped away to escape the heat in his voice, but his hand shot out, fingers wrapping around my wrist. "Luca!" I froze. He never touched me, never spoke my name like it mattered. His grip softened. "Don't run." "I'm working," I whispered. "That's not what you're doing." I swallowed. "Then what am I doing, Ezra?" He stared at me for 3 long seconds. His eyes were storm clouds ready to break, driving me insane. My breath hitched. For a moment, God help me, I thought he would pull me closer instead of letting me go. But he only released me as if my skin burned him. "There's a donor asking for you," he said stiffly. "Don't make me repeat myself." That was Ezra, 1 step forward, 3 steps back. Every time he cracked open, he sealed himself shut again like he regretted it. He didn't look at me for the rest of the night, but something had already been set in motion. After midnight, I escaped to the cliff behind the mansion, where the salty air washed away the noise. I sat alone, knees pulled to my chest. Silence was kinder than people. I didn't hear Ezra approach until he sat beside me. "You always hide out here," he said. I didn't reply. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, staring at the black ocean below. His voice dropped to something almost vulnerable. "You shouldn't have to listen to people talk about you like you're some inconvenience." I glanced at him. "Why do you care?" He didn't answer right away. Then, "You grew up in my house, Luca. That makes you family?" I laughed bitterly. Is that what you want to call it? Ezra flinched at the word. You know it's more complicated than that. Why? I whispered. His breath hitched. And then I made a mistake. I turned to him. Really turned. His face was inches from mine, too close, too intense, too human. He wasn't the Heir out here. He was just Ezra. A man who had been raised to carry the weight of a dynasty. A man who couldn't afford to want things he wasn't supposed to. You think I don't notice the way you look at me? I asked quietly. He stiffened. You think I don't see you avoiding me, staring at me, hating me, protecting me, pushing me away? Which one am I to you, Ezra? A stain or a threat? Don't, he said hoarsely. Then tell me the truth. The wind whipped around us. He looked torn apart, like he was fighting a war inside himself. You're neither, he said roughly. That's the damn problem. Then what am I? His voice cracked. Someone I'm not allowed to want. The world stopped. The waves roared. My chest caved in. Ezra, but before I could breathe his name again, he shot to his feet and stepped back as if burned. This conversation never happened. And he walked away, just like that. After years of push and pull, longing and denial, that confession should have been the beginning of something beautiful. Instead, it destroyed us. Because the next day, maids whispered. Staff stared. Heir executives had conversations that stopped when I entered the room. Word had gotten out. Someone had seen us on the cliff. Someone had heard enough to twist it. The rumors spread like wildfire through the Heir estate. And Ezra's mother, the woman who had taken me in, raised me, fed me, clothed me, summoned me to her office with cold, surgical precision. Luca, she said, voice smooth as steel. For the good of this family, you must leave. I felt the floor disappear beneath my feet. You've become a distraction, a liability. You are hurting Ezra's reputation without meaning to. I couldn't speak. Her gaze was soft but merciless. If you care for my son at all, you will go. Immediately. I don't know if she meant to break me, or if she truly believed she was doing what was best for him. But I packed that night, quietly, without telling Ezra. He might have fought, or he might have let me go. I couldn't face either possibility. So I left. The last thing I heard was Ezra shouting my name down the driveway, voice cracking like something inside him was shattering. I didn't look back. 3 months later, I was living in a small apartment in Portland, working at a cafe near the university. Life was quiet, manageable, boring in a way that kept my heart from bleeding openly. And then he found me, Ezra Heir, heir to a billion-dollar empire, standing in my doorway, hair disheveled, shirt wrinkled, breathing like he'd run all the way across America. Luca, he panted. What the hell did you do to me? I froze. What I didn't yet know was this. The moment I vanished, Ezra Heir stopped functioning like a human being. He threw himself into work until he collapsed from exhaustion. He searched for me through 3 states. He fought with his parents. He refused business dinners. He canceled events. He was photographed looking furious, devastated, hollowed out. America called it the Heir meltdown. His mother called it temporary madness. Ezra called it losing the only person who ever saw him. And when he finally tracked me down, he looked at me like a man on the edge of something irreversible. You were supposed to stay, he whispered. You told me I was a stain. I was wrong. You told me this conversation never happened. I lied. His voice broke. I thought pushing you away would save you. Instead, it destroyed me. My heart slammed against my ribs. I hated him. I missed him. I loved him. All at once. And that was only the beginning. Ezra looked like a man haunted by something he couldn't outrun. His chest rose and fell too fast. His eyes searching my face like he expected me to vanish if he blinked. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. The hallway light flickered behind him, casting shadows on his cheekbones, making him look raw and painfully human. Finally, I found my voice. How did you find me? He huffed a breathless, humorless laugh. Do you want the short answer or the one that makes me sound legally questionable? Ezra. He ran a hand through his hair. I tracked your last card transaction. then the bus station logs, then every cafe in a 5-mile radius. If you changed your name, I would have checked hospitals next. My throat tightened. That's not normal. No, he said, stepping into my apartment without waiting for an invitation. Nothing about the last 3 months has been normal. I shut the door slowly, my palms slick. Ezra in my tiny apartment felt like a wolf stuffed into a cardboard box. Too big, too much, too intense. He paced once, twice, then stopped in the middle of my living room, staring at the secondhand couch like it offended him. You left without a word. You told me to forget the conversation ever happened. That's not what I meant. You said it. I was terrified. The honesty in his voice knocked the air out of me. Ezra Hale didn't get terrified. He terrified other people. But now he looked like someone stripped of his armor. Someone who had been burning alive since the night I walked away. I crossed my arms to keep my hands from shaking. What do you want, Ezra? His eyes lifted to mine, and for a moment, the world shrank to that single burned-out look in them. I want you to come home. I exhaled a laugh that tasted like disbelief. Home, right? Luca, that's not my home. It never was. His jaw clenched. It was more your home than mine. That startled me. Ezra, while you were gone, he said, voice cracking just slightly, I realized something. My entire life has been planned, shaped, controlled. Everyone expects something from me. Everyone wants something. But you, he swallowed hard. You were the only person who saw me before they told me who I had to be. My chest tightened painfully. And when you left, he continued, it felt like losing the only real thing I ever had. Silence stretched, filled with things neither of us knew how to say. I turned away, needing space to breathe. Ezra, you can't just show up here and expect me to go back like nothing happened. He moved behind me. Close. Too close. I don't expect it to be easy. I just need you to know I'm not letting you disappear again. You don't get to decide that. His breath hit my shoulder. No, but I'm begging you not to make me live without you. I closed my eyes. Damn him. Damn the way he said things he had no right to say. What about your family? I asked quietly. Your reputation? The rumors? Did all that stop mattering to you overnight? No, he said. But losing you mattered more. Something in my chest cracked open. I hated that he could still do that. Still reach me. Still make the air feel electric just by being near. But I also remembered the sting of every time he'd called me trouble. Every time he'd looked through me like a problem he didn't want to solve. You hurt me, I said softly. Ezra's breath stuttered. I know. You made me feel unwanted. I know. You treated me like something embarrassing. He stepped around me, turning me gently to face him. His eyes were glassy, tortured. I know. And I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix everything. No, he whispered. But it's all I have right now. He lifted a hand like he wanted to touch my cheek but hesitated. I saw the tremor in his fingers. Ezra Hale, the boy born with command in his bones, was trembling. I swallowed hard. Why now? Why come after me? Because, he said, voice shaking in a way that felt like confession, I can't breathe without you. My heart dropped, and that terrified me more than anything else. I took a step back. You need time. No, he said instantly. I need you. Ezra, I haven't slept, he blurted out. I haven't eaten right. I can't focus. Everything reminds me of you. I keep expecting you to walk into my office or show up in the kitchen or yell at me for leaving my shoes everywhere like always. I keep hearing your laugh in empty rooms. I keep dreaming about the cliff, the wind, the way you looked at me when I told you the truth. He sucked in a breath. And I keep waking up alone. My hands shook. I had never seen Ezra like this. I'm not asking, he said quietly. I'm not demanding. I'm not ordering. I'm standing here telling you the truth you begged for. I want you. I want us. I looked away, my throat tight. And what happens when your mother tells you I'm a stain again? He stepped forward until his forehead rested against mine, breath warm and desperate. Then I'll tell her I'm in love with that stain. My breath punched out of me. Ezra, he didn't let me speak. I tried to fight it. God knows I tried. You were forbidden, complicated, dangerous. But I'm done pretending. I'm done hurting you just to keep myself safe. His voice softened. Come back with me, please. I held onto his shirt, not pulling him closer, not pushing him away. If I go back, everything changes. Yes, he whispered. For the better. They won't accept this. I don't need them to. They'll look at you differently. I don't care. And if they force you to choose? Ezra pulled back slightly, eyes blazing with certainty. Then I choose you. The words slammed into me like a tidal wave. Ezra Heir, heir to a billion-dollar dynasty, would choose me over everything he'd been raised for. But choices like that had consequences. And I'd already ruined his life once. I took a shaky breath. I need time. Ezra closed his eyes as if the word physically hurt him. But he nodded. Then I'll wait. You said you couldn't breathe without me. I'll hold my breath. My lips twitched despite myself. That's not how that works. It is for you. He stepped back, letting the air settle between us. I rented a place nearby. I'm not leaving this city until you decide. I blinked. You rented a place? 3 blocks down. Ezra, I'm staying. The stubbornness in his voice was painfully familiar, comforting, infuriating. I'm not stalking you, he added quickly. I just can't let the chance slip. Not again. I rubbed my face. This is insane. I am insane, he said. You did that. A laugh broke free from my chest. Small, shaky, real. Ezra went still at the sound, staring at me like it was the first drop of rain in a drought. I missed that, he said softly. I turned away again, needing space before I broke completely. My apartment suddenly felt too small, too full of him. You should go for tonight, I whispered. Let me think. The words seemed to slice him open, but after a long, trembling breath, he nodded. Tomorrow, he said. I'll come by. Same time. I didn't say yes. You didn't say no. Our eyes met, and for the first time since the night on the cliff, he smiled. It wasn't confident. It wasn't cocky. It wasn't the polished Heir smile he wore for cameras. It was small. It was hopeful. It was his. He opened the door, paused, and looked back at me. Don't run again. I swallowed. I wasn't planning to. He nodded once, as if holding himself together with sheer force, and stepped into the hallway. The door clicked shut, and I collapsed onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. What the hell was I supposed to do now? I didn't sleep. I spent half the night staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment with Ezra, the good, the bad, the moments that had burned scars inside me, the moments that felt like lifelines. I thought about the mansion, the cliff, his mother's cold gaze, the whispers. I thought about his voice tonight. I choose you. It didn't feel real. It felt like something out of a dream I wasn't allowed to have. And yet he'd stood in my doorway like a broken promise begging to be remade. He wasn't lying. I knew Ezra too well. Lies hardened his voice. But tonight, everything about him had cracked. By morning, my chest ached with an emotion I didn't want to name. At noon, work at the cafe blurred past me. Customers ordered. I nodded. Machines hummed. But my mind stayed stuck on the way Ezra had said my name, like a prayer and a plea twisted into one. At 5, I clocked out and walked home slowly, the winter air biting my cheeks. When I turned the corner to my street, something in front of my building made me stop cold. Ezra, sitting on the front steps, holding 2 coffees, like he'd been waiting there all day. My heart slammed painfully against my ribs. He stood the second he saw me, breath visible in the cold. You're early, he said. You're insane, I replied. He held out one of the coffees. I didn't know what you liked here, so I bought 4 versions and guessed. I threw out the other 3. A laugh escaped me. Ezra, you like caramel, right? Yes, I admitted, taking it. His shoulders relaxed. We stood there awkwardly for a moment, the cold wind whipping between us. Finally, he asked softly, "Can I come up?" I hesitated, then nodded. His relief was a physical thing, softening the tight lines in his face. We walked inside together, silent but not uncomfortable. My apartment felt different with him in it, warmer, fuller, like the air had weighed again. Ezra set his coffee down and rubbed his hands together nervously. Nervously, "Ezra Hale. If I talk too much," he said, "tell me to shut up." I smiled. "That'll be refreshing." He huffed a quiet laugh, but his eyes were serious. "I meant what I said yesterday. All of it. I know. I don't want to scare you away. You're not." He exhaled, almost collapsing with relief. Then he took a step closer. "Luca," he said, voice trembling, "I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be good at it. But I want to try with you." My chest tightened. "You don't have to be perfect." "I do," he said. "For you, I do." I shook my head. "No. You just have to be honest." He nodded slowly. "Then here's honesty." He reached out, gently taking my hand. I froze. Ezra stared at our joined hands like it was something sacred. "I never hated you," he whispered. "I hated what I felt around you. I hated how much I wanted something I wasn't allowed to want. I hated myself for it. Not you. Ezra, if I could go back, I'd change everything. I'd protect you better. I'd never let them make you feel small. I'd choose you from the beginning." My eyes burned. "I think," I said softly, "I needed to hear that." He lifted his gaze, voice barely above a whisper. "Can I stay for a while?" I squeezed his hand. "Yes." He exhaled shakily, then pulled me into a slow, trembling embrace, our first real one in all the years we'd known each other. His arms wrapped around me like someone starved of warmth, someone who had been freezing for months and finally found shelter. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself lean into him. Just for a moment, just long enough to remember how it felt. Ezra's voice brushed my ear. "I'm not losing you again." Ezra held me like the world was finally quiet, like the storm he'd been living in for months had stopped the moment his arms closed around me. And maybe it had. Maybe he had been drowning alone the same way I had. But even wrapped in him, I knew this wasn't enough. Not yet. Because loving someone like Ezra Hale wasn't simple. It was gravity and wildfire and all the dangerous things that pulled you in before you realized you were falling. He pulled back just enough to meet my eyes. "I'll earn this," he whispered. "I'll earn you." I swallowed hard. "Then start by telling me the truth." He nodded, jaw tightening with determination. "You deserve that." He let go of me gently, as if afraid I'd shatter, and sat on the edge of my couch. I took a seat across from him, curled up in the old armchair that squeaked if you breathed too close to it. Ezra looked painfully out of place in my little apartment, like a god crouched inside a motel room. But he didn't seem to care. His gaze found mine steady, unflinching, raw. "I wasn't supposed to care about you," he began quietly. "Not the way I did. Not the way I do." I leaned back, heart pounding. "When we were kids, you were just there," he said. "A shadow in the hall. A soft voice at dinner. Someone who made our house feel less like a cold museum." But when we got older, his breath hitched. "I started noticing things I shouldn't." "Like what?" I asked softly. His eyes dropped to his hands. "The way you pushed your hair back when you were nervous. The way you talked to the staff like they were actually human, not assets. The way you held your breath when you were trying not to cry. The way you looked at me sometimes, like you expected me to bite." I stiffened. "I noticed," he said. "Everything. And it terrified me, because I'd been raised to be perfect, to care about the Hale image, to make choices that looked good in magazines, to marry someone who would boost our stock value." A humorless smile touched his mouth. "You didn't exactly fit their mold." "I know," I said quietly. "No," he replied, shaking his head hard. "You don't. Because the real problem wasn't that you didn't fit. The problem was that you mattered." My breath caught, and I didn't know what to do with that feeling, he continued. "So I did the one thing I've been taught to do my whole life. Push people away," I whispered. Ezra nodded. Until you left. Until I realized I'd pushed the wrong person. Silence settled heavy between us, thick with everything we'd never said before. Finally, he looked up again, eyes shining with emotion that made my chest ache. Luca, I'm in love with you. The words hung there, trembling, fragile, real. My throat tightened painfully. I had wanted to hear those words for years. I'd imagined them, begged for them, and eventually convinced myself I'd never get them. I've been in love with you, he said softly, for longer than I've been brave enough to admit. Tears pricked the corners of my eyes. Ezra, he shook his head, voice breaking with honesty. I'm telling you this because I don't want to lose you again. I can't. I won't survive it a second time. A single tear slipped down my cheek. Ezra stood, walked to me slowly, then knelt in front of my chair. Ezra Heir, who never kneeled for anyone, and took my trembling hands. I know I don't deserve forgiveness yet. I know I hurt you. I know I let my fear become your burden. But if you let me, I'll spend the rest of my life proving you were never a stain. You were the only thing that ever felt true. Something in me cracked open like a fault line finally giving way. I leaned forward and cupped his face, my thumbs brushing the faint stubble on his jaw. You broke my heart, I whispered. I know. You don't get to do that again. I won't, he said, voice steadying. I swear to you. I searched his face, the determination, the fear, the hope, the love, and realized something terrifying and beautiful. He meant it. All of it. Every word. I exhaled shakily. Then come here. Ezra surged up, pulling me into his arms, his lips crashing against mine in a desperate, trembling kiss that tasted like months of longing and 3 months of hell. His hands cupped my face, my neck, as if memorizing the shape of me all over again. I kissed him back, not gently, not cautiously, but with every piece of my heart I had been too scared to give him before. He groaned softly into my mouth, as if relief itself was something he could feel with his whole body. When we finally broke apart, foreheads pressed together, breathing unsteady, Ezra whispered, I'm yours, for as long as you want me. Good, I whispered back, because I'm not letting you go this time. For the next week, Ezra stayed in that little apartment more often than not. Sometimes he slept on the couch. Sometimes he didn't. Sometimes he woke up in the middle of the night, breath trembling, and I'd hold him until he calmed down. He wasn't the polished, perfect version of himself here. He was real, stripped down, scarred, human, and I loved him more for it. But while things between us healed, the world outside didn't pause. One evening, while Ezra was helping me cook dinner badly, and with the precision of someone holding a knife for the first time, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, then went pale. What is it? I asked. He hesitated. My mother. I froze. Do you want to answer? He shook his head. Not right now. But the phone buzzed again, and again, and again. Finally, he sighed, wiped his hands on a towel, and stepped onto the balcony to take the call. I tried not to listen. I failed. Her voice was sharp even through the glass door. Ezra, you need to come home. The board is asking questions. There are rumors, photos. You cannot continue like this. Ezra's jaw clenched. I'm not coming back yet. You've abandoned your responsibilities. You mean your expectations. This boy, she began. Don't, Ezra snapped. I stiffened. His mother continued icily. He is ruining everything we built. No, Ezra said firmly. He's the only thing holding me together. Silence. Then her voice softened into something deceptively gentle. Ezra, be reasonable. You cannot throw away your future for a boy who... He's not just a boy. He's the person I love. The breath in my chest vanished. Ezra wasn't speaking to me. He wasn't performing. He meant it in every bone of his body. His mother's voice dropped to something cold and final. If you stay with him, you will lose everything. Ezra didn't hesitate. Then I lose it. My vision blurred. He ended the call. For a long moment, he stood on the balcony, breathing hard, fingers shaking with adrenaline. Then he turned to me, His eyes were steady. I meant what I said. I swallowed the sudden burn in my throat. Ezra. He crossed the space between us, cupped my face, and pressed his forehead to mine. I choose you, he whispered. Every time. Something inside me finally unclenched, like a fist releasing after years of holding too tight. I slid my arms around him, leaning into his chest. You're going to lose more than you realize, I murmured. I don't care. You should. I don't. You will, I whispered. Ezra pulled back. What are you saying? I looked him directly in the eyes. You need to go back. His face fell instantly. No. Luca. No, Ezra, I said gently, placing a hand over his heart. You can't burn your future down for me. Why not? Because I'm not worth losing the life you were raised to build. Don't say that, he breathed, voice breaking. You're worth more than any of it. I'm not saying you have to give me up, I whispered. I'm saying you have to fight for both. Ezra blinked at me, stunned. Hope flickered beneath his hurt. You think I should go back? Yes. And face them? Yes. And tell them we're together? If that's what you want. What about you? He whispered. What do you want? I took his trembling hand. I want us. But I want you to stand tall when you choose me, not broken. Not cornered. Not running. Go back. Fix what you can. Face what you must. Then come home to me. He stared at me for a long, shaking moment. Then he kissed me slow, soft, reverent, like he was memorizing the taste of this choice. I'll come back, he whispered. I swear it. I know. Ezra left the next morning. The apartment felt colder without him, but I knew this was necessary. For him, for us. Days passed, then a week, then 2. I heard nothing. Not a text, not a call, not a whisper. I tried to stay calm, tried to trust him, tried to believe he was coming back. But on the 14th day, fear finally dug claws into my chest. What if they convinced him otherwise? What if the weight of $1 billion empire was heavier than the promises he'd made in my tiny kitchen? What if love wasn't enough? On the 15th day, I woke to knocking at my door. I stumbled out of bed, heart hammering. When I opened the door, Ezra was standing there. Snow dusted his hair, his coat, his eyelashes, and he was smiling, not with confidence, not with bravado, but with something soft and luminous and entirely his. Hi, he whispered. My breath escaped in a trembling rush. Ezra, sorry it took so long. He stepped inside, brushing snow off his shoulders. My mother fought me. The board fought me. The press is, well, the press. But I told them the truth. My heart stopped. What truth? He took my hand gently. That I'm with you. That I'm not ashamed. That I'm not hiding. That the life they want for me is worthless without the person I want to share it with. My throat tightened. What did they say? Ezra smiled softly. They said the company would survive. What about your mother? He hesitated. Then, she cried. Then she asked if I was happy. And you said. I said I was on my way to be. My chest cracked open, flooded with warmth. Ezra stepped closer, his hands sliding around my waist. I'm back, he whispered. For good. If you'll have me. I cupped his face, feeling the cold melt beneath my palms. You came home, I breathed. I'll always come home, he murmured. As long as you're here. I smiled, real, full, unstoppable. Then don't leave. Never. Ezra kissed me deep, slow, certain, the kind of kiss that rewrote everything that came before it. And in that moment, in my small apartment, in the middle of falling snow and rising hope, we finally became what we'd been too scared to be. 2 boys in love. Without fear. Without running. Without regret. Just us. At last. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.